On the other side of the glass mountains, behind the silk meadow, stood an untouched, unprecedentedly dense forest. An old bear lived in this untouched, unprecedented dense forest, and in its very thickest she had two sons. When the cubs grew up, they decided that they would go around the world to seek their fortune. At first they went to their mother and, as expected, said goodbye to her. The old she-bear hugged her sons and told them never to part with each other. The cubs promised to fulfill the order of their mother and set off on their way. They walked, and wandered for days. They followed the sun, continuing without sleep, until finally the cubs got hungry. Exhausted and dejected, they wandered side by side. Brother, how I want to eat, the younger complained. And do I want too, replied the elder. So they kept walking, and suddenly they found a large, round head of cheese. They remembered their mother's words, never to part with each other. So they decided to divide the cheese equally. However, they could not decide on who and where to break it. Greed overcame the cubs. Each was afraid that the other would get more, so they started arguing, and suddenly they were growling at each other. Unexpectedly, a fox came up to them out of nowhere. "What are you arguing about, young people?" the fox asked softly. The cubs told her about their misfortune. "What a disaster it is," said the fox. "Let me divide the cheese for you equally. To me, that the younger and the elder both get the same." "That's good," said the cubs delightedly. The fox took the cheese and broke it in two, but it had split the head so that one piece, it was even visible to the eye, was larger than the other. "This one is bigger!" the cubs shouted. "Hush, young people," the fox reassured them. "This trouble is not a problem. I'll sort it out now." And so the fox took a good bite from most of it and swallowed it. Now it was that the smaller piece became bigger. "And so uneven!" the cubs exclaimed, worried. "Well, that's enough. I know my business. I know how to divide the cheese." And so the fox took a bite from the larger part. The larger piece was now smaller. "And uneven! Again!" the cubs shouted. "Let it be for you," said the fox, with difficulty turning its tongue. The fox had its mouth filled with delicious cheese after all. "Just a little bit more, and it all will be equal." The fox continued to divide the cheese with its bites, but somehow the two pieces never got even. So the cubs were led back and forth with only black noses, from a larger piece to a smaller piece, from a smaller piece to a larger one, until eventually the fox was full, as all the pieces got divided into almost nothing but crumbs. But the pieces were equal, two tiny pieces. "Well," said the fox, "although little by little, they are now both equal. Bon appetit, cubs!" And, wagging its tail, it ran away.